As you heard in Nhlanhla's report, KZN's top police boss, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, today implicating members of Parliament and basically accusing them of interference and compromising the work of the intelligence services. They are Fadiel as well as the DA's Dianne Kohler Barnard. He was testifying at the Commission in Pretoria today. Mkwanazi basically said today that Kohler Barnard had disclosed classified intelligence information. Let's bring her into the discussion now. Good to have you on the program, Dianne, for your time. So General Mkwanazi says you undermined state intelligence by revealing that the Inspector General of Intelligence had completed an investigation into unlawful property acquisitions. How do you respond to that?
Look, the claims he made today are categorically and in possible terms refute. They are outrageous, defamatory, and entirely baseless. Suggesting my involvement in a criminal syndicate and the leaking of sensitive information is outrageous. On the 17th of February this year, there were extensive reports and photographs in national newspapers. I wrote to the Inspector of Intelligence requesting an investigation into what looked like dubious purchases of 2 properties by crime intelligence. And that request was a direct response to already out in the public domain. My inquiries confirmed that no approach should be made to the Minister of Public Works for the properties. It's a fundamental legal requirement for such acquisitions. The public group suggested that the purchases were approved internally by high-ranking SAPS crime intelligence members, bypassing proper procedures and raising red flags. Now, the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence took a full year from the time of the national election to operationalize. So it was months before that committee was formally constituted that I wrote to the IGI. I was not a member of the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. I served as a member of the JSCI during the last parliamentary term, and once one is sworn into the committee, no member may share anything spoken of within the committee. And as such, I may not speak of the outcome, for example, of the investigation which I've asked for by the Inspector General, because the report's now been presented to the committee. For it to be suggested, as some headlines did today, that I am somehow part of a criminal is absurd. I've been making laws and attempting to ensure they are implemented.
Right.
21 years in Parliament.
Let me ask you
21 years in Parliament.
Let me ask you then, Dianne, given your history in Parliament and on intelligence, do you think that it was wise, whether you were in the committee or a member of the committee or not at the time, but given the sensitivity that you would have been familiar with, having been working in these structures as long as you've been in Parliament, do you think it was wise to go public with the information as you did? Yes, there had been reporting, but from your avenue and what you later then shared in that statement that was released at the time, do you think that was wise in hindsight?
I quoted exactly from what was released all over the news. About the 2 properties, the prices of the properties, and the fact that it looked most peculiar, and that I'd asked for it to be investigated. No secret information. I had nothing else other than what was out in the public domain. And as a normal MP, not a member of the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence at that stage, I had every right to do so. In fact, I think I would have been most remiss position as a member of Parliament not to say anything. Was I supposed to leave it for another 2 months before raising it in a committee in silence?
Mkwanazi says that
absolutely astounded at his claims.
He says that the risk here was that what you did basically for the intelligence community to defend themselves and by extension divulge state secrets.
He's saying I force other people to divulge state secrets. That is an absolutely ludicrous statement. The Inspector General of Intelligence did an investigation, and that was the end of that. He will deal with the matter internally. I can't hold a person down and force them to reveal any information at all. What they should be looking for is the person who leaked the information to the South African media. But no, there's no mention of that.
So will you now, Dianne, pardon me, we're just almost out of time. Will you now recuse yourself from the ad hoc committee in Parliament that is supposed to deal with this issue? Because whether he's right or not, ultimately you've now been named in the evidence Nhlanhla Commission of a central figure in what is to be investigated.
I absolutely will not. I've done nothing wrong. I've done my job. I haven't leaked any information at all. Someone else has done that to the newspapers. I followed up on what is in the public domain. And if the Lieutenant General had done what he suggested the Judicial Commissioner's doing, he could have spent a few minutes realizing that this information was out there way before I became a member of the Joint Standing Committee. He claimed I leaked information out of that committee. It's an outrageous allegation. And no, I most certainly won't pull myself out of that committee. For what? On baseless allegations? Absolutely not.
The point, though, is given the sensitivity of what has been alleged here, again, I'm not making a pronouncement on who's right, who's wrong in this scenario, but your continued stay as part of the ad hoc committee is likely going to become distraction at the very least, because we're likely going to come back, keep circling back to this issue about what Mkhwanazi is due today. If you sit on the committee, how then can we say your presence there is of a control person when even you and him, as of tonight, are contradicting each other on a very key. Surely, should we not want to avoid that by you simply walking away and having another person from your party take that seat?
I absolutely will not and silenced by someone who's made these baseless allegations. The 10 seconds on Google will show you what I said was based on media reports out in the open, and that I was not a member of the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. So I will not be shut down by people who would like me to be. That's not going to happen. That's going to happen. And it's really the fact that he actually is not involved in crime intelligence. It makes it very strange that he's making these allegations about crime, nothing to do with what is going on in this entire commission. So it's coming at a very strange time from a very strange point of view.
But it is your issue as of tonight then, Dianne, again ask, not going to be a distraction, a source of noise that actually all of us considering what is at stake here if the police service and the broader crime intelligence community picked apart and cleaned up. Removing yourself, would that not spare us a lot of time that could be spent on achieving the greater objectives? Why not have someone else from your party who's just as capable continue? Because now you've come up once again in evidence.
Years trying to clean up crime intelligence. I've raised issues for years and years and years and years. And to suggest that because someone makes comments about me suddenly means I must leave the committee, which I believe I add value, is unacceptable to me. Absolutely unacceptable.
Do you want a chance to appear before Justice Nhlanhla or Chairperson and his team to clear your name, address what was said about you today? Will you go?
If I will, I'm discussing this with my colleagues. And there are two options: in and explain the exact truth of the matter, or go before the commission, whichever. I don't mind, because I'm absolutely straight down the line that I have done nothing wrong, and the allegations, that I was leaking out of the committee when the committee wasn't even sitting, is ridiculous.
Dianne Kohler Barnard, DA Member of Parliament, good to have your time on SABC tonight.